guys, so today is a quick tutorial using all three of the smaller Pat McGrath palettes. I hope that you enjoyed. This video was requested by Michelle. Thank you so much for requesting this video. I hope that you enjoy. Let's get this started. Starting with my most used of the three palettes, this guy, the second, the one with the green, I am going to start with this shade over here, which is called Bronze Struck. I am taking my Wayne Goss number 18 brush, place this on the outer third. I've already primed the lids, by the way, using my favorite, the Makeup Forever Step 1 Eye Primer. Now with number 1, this guy, probably my favorite color scheme of the three palettes, I'm going into Deep Velvet, the matte brown. It's a very dark matte brown, so delicious. Deepen out that outer third, just patting the pigment on and then lightly blending the edges using small circular motions, keeping it a bit more contained than the throwing shade. Oh, did I call it a different shade, that first shade? It's actually Throwing Shade is the name. I think I misread it. So I don't want the shade to escape its designated zone. So I'm just patting it on using contained little circular motions and not blending too far out. Those two shades work beautifully together. I'm gonna go back and forth between the two. So between Throwing Shade and Deep Velvet. Throwing Shade I'm using to blend out Deep Velvet and smoke it out farther along its edges, and Deep Velvet I'm using to really deepen at the center point. Not bringing these into the crease too much because I'm sure you could see from the sneak preview that we're using a different shade over there. And over time I'm letting it spread farther and farther out as pigment becomes less and less on the brush. I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush, this is from Pat McGrath from one of her sets, and just blend the edges a bit. I'll continue to utilize this tool as we bring new colors in, just to blend everything together. It's time, wouldn't you say, that I pull number 3, and I am going into the matte purple, which is called Paranormal. So with the Wayne Goss brush again, number 18, I'm going to load my brush with this purple, and we are going to just place that on the inner third of the eye. All of these shades work so nicely together. I'm pressing the brush into this deep corner here and swiping out towards the center to create a nice fade. So pressing and swiping. I'm going to take a bit of Euphoria with my Chikuhodo GSN number 9 eyeshadow brush. I'm going to layer this right over the inner third of the lid. I'm feathering it in towards the center, but I'm allowing some of that deep mauve to peek through underneath. You know I have to go into Pale Fire, my favorite. I love this shade so much. With that same brush, I'm gonna let this be our pop in the center. I'm overlapping that purple, and I'm carefully approaching the crease shape I want to create allowing it to be kind of a stark line up there. Those two shades just go so beautifully together. I make such ugly makeup faces. Like, for some reason, I feel like it just helps me get to where I'm going. I don't know why. Aren't those pretty? That shade is gonna fade beautifully into Copperized from the green palette. And then on the outer edge of that center, I am feathering that into Pale Fire. So we've got a nice change in tones here. The number 18 brush again, going back to Deep Velvet over here. I'm just very lightly feathering that in. Alright, love, so this is where we're at. I want to create a little bit more intensity. So now that we've got this base, this beautiful gradient base, we're gonna take some intensifier shades. So with the Chikuhodo GSN 9, we're going to lightly layer some of these colors. Mostly focusing on this guy because this has such beautiful intense shades. So I'm going to take a little bit of the hot pink. This guy is Rose Risque. And just a little bit because we want the other shades to peek through. We don't want this to be the entire color. I am going to place that right on top of the middle of the lid, not covering the whole thing, just patting right on top, softly brightening. Now the intensifier shade for this outer copper, I think we're gonna use Gold Nectar, this one here. It's pretty intense, so just softly pat that onto the brush and tap off the excess. And I'm just going to softly pat that right onto the lid, not going through the whole outer third, just intensifying slightly. This is one of those more powdery formulas that is meant to be really foiled, so you might have a little bit of fallout from doing it this way. And then the intensifier shade for the inner third is gonna be the Purple Rain. And that I'm just going to pop right on the inner third of the lid. Again, not really bringing it all the way up to the crease. We're keeping all of these intensifiers a little bit closer to the lash line. I'm kind of feeling like instead of the gold on the outer third, I want to intensify the Copperized over here. So not instead of, just layer it a little bit more because I feel like it wasn't quite as deep of a shade as I would like. So I'm going to go back and just pat a little bit of that right on top. That Copperized shade is just such a beautiful formula. I feel the need to go back and take that Deep Velvet shade and blend that outer edge once again. I'm taking that Pat McGrath brush again and just softly blending across the top edge above the crease. Over the rainbow of color. I'm cleaning all this up. I think winged liner. What do you guys think? So I'm taking my Tarte Navy Clay Paint liner with a fine liner brush. Just wing it out. Purple Rain. This is the Wayne Glass number 8. I'm not using that same eyeliner brush just because that one doesn't work with powders as well. Okay, and I'm going to spritz my brush, layer this right on top. I'm going to take Copperized on the lower lash line here, Wayne Goss number 19 brush, and blend that all the way across the lower lash line. Wow, that is dry. It's amazing. The Wayne Goss number 8, the little detailer brush we were just using. I'm going to take Deep Velvet, work this into the lash line. I'm going to take a bit of Purple Rain on this outer edge, and then just blend. In the inner corner, I'm going to take Platinized, working this in with a Chikuhodo eyeshadow pencil brush. And then finally, for the waterline, I'm going to take my Milani Supreme Cocoa Gel eyeliner and Tightline, as well as put this in the waterline. With my Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir mascara, I'm going to coat the lashes. Feel free to use falsies if that is something you would like to do. For foundation, I am taking my beloved Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation with my little VIB Rouge Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush 56.5 brush from last year. Work this into the skin. So for concealer, I've been using my Naked Skin Concealer from Urban Decay, trying to finish this one in Light Warm. It's quite yellow, and I'm a little bit more neutral, so it's an interesting color for me, not the best, but I just need to finish this. I've had it for too long. Putting a little bit underneath my eyes. This foundation is such full coverage that I really don't think I need too much. I've got some weird little spots around my face that I'm going to just add a little bit more coverage to cover, but this dark spot always wants to come back out. My Makeup Forever Pro Sculpting Palette, I'm going to take the lightest shade, the brightening shade, and just brighten underneath the eyes a little bit. Now with the shimmer cream, I am going to pat that into the cheekbones to give myself a dewy highlight. I'm going to take a little bit of the blush, not too much, but just pat this right around the cheeks. And then finally the contour shade for a little bit of shaping action. I'm going to use my Becca Set and Refresh powder with my Luxie 640 Pro Precision Tapered. I'm going to use this one because it doesn't deposit much product on the face. It's very wispy. So that's perfect because this powder can become too heavy really quickly. I feel like I'm powdering my face with a feather. Like, it's so wispy. Now with this brush, this is some random powder brush from a few years ago. Any powder brush will do. This is the Becca Capri Coast bronzer. And I am going to douse the skin in this. Finally, I think I want a little bit more highlight, although this looks really pretty as is. I'm going to take my Becca Opal with that powder brush, just very lightly reinforce the cream highlighter we already laid down. With a spritz of MAC Fix Plus, we will be ready for lips. Okay, so for the lips, I am taking my Sephora Collection Rouge Lip Tint in Violet. Okay, so this is the final look. I hope that you enjoy. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.